Hey guys, in this unboxing I'm joined by Curious of Mantic Games, and we're going to have a look at Mars Attacks, the miniatures game. It's finally here!
My baby.
Well, it looks great. The box looks stunning. A big, shaky box full of toys and miniatures in this.
Look how colourful it is.
Here we have the back. It is just brimming with colour. Now, what we care about, though, is what's in the box. So, Curious, let me crack open the box here. Do we start to see what's inside? Can you tell me a little bit about Mars Attacks while we're opening up?
Oh, well, anyone in America will be, of course, familiar that Mars Attacks is a cult property. Started off with trading cards in the 60s and influenced generations of people. In England, we tend to think of it only as the Tim Burton movie from the 90s, but that's a bit like Americans thinking Thunderbirds is only a movie done by Jonathan Frakes in the 90s and completely unaware of the rich heritage that we had in the 60s. And so we got approached by Mars Attacks and said, would you like to do a boxed game? And we said, yeah, we'd love to. And here it is now, our first licensed property.
Okay, let's have a look through the content. So starting off, we have the gaming mat. Now, Mars Attacks is a miniatures game. It plays a little bit like a board game, but it's not a board game in the traditional kind of German European board games. It's a miniatures game. However, you're not going to have to assemble anything or do any of that because it all comes ready to play out of the box. So kicking off, I'll show off the mat. So here we have the mat, which is a street layout. And this is where the skirmish is going to take place.
This is an everyday section of Greenville that is a setting for our scene where all the inhabitants will rise up and fight against the alien invaders.
So, what is the typical type setting that the Martians have invaded? This is a street where there's some heroes, or your mechanic guy and stuff like that. There, are they waking up? The Martians are outside. The streets are burning. What are they getting up then? Are they getting up to try and take the town back?
Yeah, well, this is we took a look at the Mars Attacks thing, and the thing that Mars Attacks have done very nicely is it's always a story about the everyday average Joe. It's about Mr. Middle Class cube worker who just sort of wakes up one day, finds out his city's been demolished, and he found a ray gun. He goes out there and decides to get some revenge on his Martian aggressors.
Okay, right. In the box, we also have the rule book. Now, the rule book looks fabulous. What a cracking piece of artwork.
Yeah, I love the colours that we've managed to put on this. It's a complete departure to Dead Zone, which is sort of very kind of apocalyptic, very dark, very science fiction. This is just colourful, it's bright, it's vibrant, it's horribly gory.
So in terms of the rules of the game, I know the rules have been kept very clean cut and very very easy to approach. Is the rule book was it designed in a fashion to lead people simply through the rules? Or?
Yeah, well, it's the same core mechanics as the Dead Zone game, but this has been stripped back to the absolute bare essentials. So just to make it as, the Dead Zone rulebook is 80 pages of A4. This is about 13, 14 pages of rules, and the rest of this book is scenarios, and it's a nice, cool American comic book format.
Yeah.
Very colourful, very bright, lots of emphasis on diagrams, and just making sure that people can pick this up and start playing it very quickly.
So there's your rulebook. We also have this mysterious-looking item here.
Oh, this is our hero track for making sure you can work out how much heroics your heroes have done, and also for just tracking your victory conditions.
So victory conditions here,
yep. Heroes,
and then Martian heroes.
Yep, here are all our 9 sort of heroes of Greenville going down the side. And then we have our Martian sergeants who are leading the grunt forces in general tour. The evil overlord you see on the front of the box. Yeah, it's our central character to the Martian invasion.
Great. Now, let's get the final kind of paper parts out of the way so as we can have a look at them. We have cards.
I love these cards. Again, very colourful. And we sort of, one of the things we were able to do, thanks to our Kickstarter, was put an art piece on each and individual card. Take a look at our Dreadball cards. They're great. Yeah. They sort of work very well, but these have all had special artwork commissioned specially for the cards. In fact,
they have a lovely kind of like a 1960s kind of feel almost to the design and stuff of the cards as well. So it ties very nicely in with the classic Mars Attacks kind of look.
I have to grab my favourite one from the deck. I like that one with the skin melting off the unfortunate citizens, but there's an adorably cute one which I think that we can... Just there we go. Isn't he cute? There's a little Martian there just distracted all of a sudden by a cute kitten. I just... you know, I want that on a poster.
What do the cards actually bring to the gameplay?
The cards have two types of thing they bring to the gameplay. The first one is they kind of like let you kind of have bonuses just so you can sort of like make that critical shot. You can sort of just have the edge in combat. But the other thing which I really like about this game is they add the wacky Mars Attacks humour in. There's a card which suddenly means a herd of burning cows appears on one of the edges of the battlefield, and it runs forward and just kind of like sets fire to things and sets them out their way. Or there's a car which suddenly lands a Martian robot somewhere off borders, just tossed a car casually through and it lands and kind of squashes some of your troops. You've got stuff like that happening, which just sort of makes it feel a lot more sort of comic book and slapstick.
It really does add to the chaos of the game itself. There are bags of tokens.
Yep.
So if we can have a quick look through. Do you want to tell me what they do or what they
we've
stand
got tokens here for activation, which sort of show if your troops have acted or not. It's just a bit of basic record keeping. We've got counters here for critters. They're double-sided counters that you put on the board. Then you flip over once your kind of heroes have got them, and you work out, are they a critter that like a cute kitten or something that the Martians are trying to capture, or are they military secrets the humans are trying to capture? They're useful in objective scenarios. We've got heroics counters for keeping track of how heroic your heroes are, and a selection of other things as well, but too numerous to go to.
And the heroics, what is the basics of the heroics mechanic, and how does that work?
Well, you've got two very different forces in this. It's not just human army versus the Martian army. It's a Martian invasion force consisting of wave after wave of grunts. But half of the miniatures in the human side are heroes. They're sort of bank robbers who have been sort of like suddenly caught out, or everyday civilians, or sort of like the mad... Deke is one of my favourite characters. He's just a sort of survivalist living in the wood off canned goods all of his time, going, "Oh, the invasion's coming soon!" And now he's finally proved right, and he's sort of running around, you know, finally kind of like vindicated.
All his skills to work,
Yeah. And so those people are sort of, they work like, if you can imagine, it's a cinematic game where you've got wave after wave of Martians coming at you, and the heroes are there sort of like using every dirty trick in the book in order to sort of hold them back and complete their objectives.
So hero points, do they accumulate those as they do things and then can spend them, or how does it work?
Each character has got their own rule book with their stats in, and they have a set number of heroics points which they can use to either take additional actions or come back from apparent death, or just sort of like trigger their special abilities. Like Eva is one of the cops who's got a power called Authority, which allows her to sort of like instantly take first turn in the round. Just go, I'm having first turn, you know, because she says so. Don't argue with that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at the miniatures. So to kick off, let's have a look at some of the heroes. So if you want to tell me who we have.
Okay, well this is
about them.
There we go. This is Joe. He's an everyday mechanic who's just kind of like drifted from job to job, but then he's very good at fixing stuff, and you can use this on the battlefield to actually go and hijack Martian sources and drive them around against their previous owners. So he's very useful.
Now, all the miniatures are coming pre-assembled.
Yes.
So they come out of the box pre-colored, pre-assembled, exactly as you see here. So you there's no clipping, gluing, or anything to do. You just pick up the box, and you have everything ready to play, basically, straight out of the box. How many heroes are in the kit itself?
We get 9 heroes for the humans, plus a selection of 10 US soldiers. And then the Martians get 20 of the basic grunts, plus General Tor, central Martian character there. But all the heroes here are moulded in a lovely, attractive red colour, which it's just visually appealing. I don't want to paint my set because, you know, these are striking. You know, you're ready to play with these and knock them around. You can work out who's on which side.
Well, it feels just like a game. You know, you're opening up, you're ready to see it. When do you see the Martians? You know, you'll crease when you see them. And then here we have, how cool is this? This is the Martian general.
Ah, yes, but let's give him his helmet. This is, we say the miniatures come fully assembled. They do. But
bar one small detail.
This is the coolest detail of the whole Mars Attacks range, I think.
The Martians themselves have little clear helmets. Now, you guys could have opted to actually glue the helmets on, but you've decided not to for those people that would actually like to paint.
Exactly, you can't paint something
miniatures.
that's behind a transparent dome. So let's get one of these off. You got one off?
Okay. So we'll just pop that on his head there. Like
there we go.
that.
I just think this turns all of our miniatures into an iconic, you know, alien aggressor. You know, you look at that, it's a very strong image of a bubble-headed Martian.
Well, now's a good time to bring out the Martians. And here we have the Martians in some properly classic 1960s Martian poses.
Got a sergeant here standing on a skull of one of the slain civilians of Greenville. This guy's got a really cool freeze ray as well, which just goes around zapping people with.
And of course, each of these guys can also get their helmets just dropped on like that. And how awesome does that look?
Yeah.
You know, if you do decide to paint these, they are going to look great. They absolutely are. Okay, so how many Martians do you get in the box?
You get 2 full squads of 10, so that's 20 in total. Both with a freeze ray and both with a sergeant.
For anybody that's interested in scaling up the game, does the game scale up if they buy a couple of boxes? Can they field even more Martians and things like that? Or is it pretty balanced the way it is?
This game is... The starting box contains 10 scenarios, which are all sort of... They're hardwired with the starting contents.
Yeah.
So all 10 scenarios you can play straight out the box. And they kind of like go from the very simple up to the sort of apocalyptic 10th scenario where everybody just gets on the battlefield at once. But if you do have 2 sets, we're doing an expansion, which will be a points value book, which has points values for everyone, so you can pick and select your own army, and you can have 101 plus models when you get to that. So you can just buy a couple of boxes of these and just have a whole wave after wave of them. It'll be fantastic.
Well, we're not the fate of humanity isn't entirely resting on the shoulders of our heroes, mechanics or bank robbers. We also have U.S. Marines.
USA, USA.
And I think these guys look great. I want a whole bag of these guys just to have some awesome toy soldiers. Yeah, so how many of these guys do you get in? And what do they bring to the game?
You get 10 of these guys in the box. You get a rocket launcher, which is pretty cool, usually for bringing down tanks and robots and saucers, which come in the expansions. You get carbines, you get swords, you get a sergeant. And one of the nice things as well is that the sergeant is another hero in a way. You can sort of like marshal his squad and make them work together really nicely in the game using his follow me mechanic, which is great. But these guys sort of like, they're essentially the grunts, they're the fodder, so you don't sort of like end up losing a hero every turn and sort of...
And how many heroes, how many of the hero miniatures and the soldier miniatures are you likely to use in a game? Do you have multiple heroes running around the board trying to do their thing, or...
Well, it tends to be...
on the scenario?
It tends to be, in a scenario, it tends to be just 2 or 3 heroes, and it's all 10 scenarios work together as part of a narrative campaign. You can follow their stories throughout the 10 scenarios and then in future supplements as well. And they tend to work in sort of pairs or trios. So Buddy and Brandy here. Here we go, there's Buddy with his baseball bat. Where's Brandy? There we go, she's there with her pistol. There are sort of a pair of star-crossed lovers that have abilities which mean they work nicely together.
Yeah.
Or you've got... so
there's even synergies and things like that between the heroes?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Right. The set wouldn't be complete without this piece de resistance.
I think this is half the fun in the box is just this component.
And that is this entire section of just bits and pieces of terrain and buildings. And the stuff looks absolutely great. It's also compatible with the Battlezone series. So if you've seen the Battlezones terrain series, that Mantic have created, you'll have seen it, the sci-fi stuff used in Dead Zone, etc. This stuff is also compatible with that and can be mixed and matched in. So some of the highlights for me is there's the chain link fences. There's loads of like little signposts and things like that for stop signs and direction signs.
I like just building structures.
Yeah,
I find it's just like a construction toy. This.
You know, you can build like extended wall sections. It is rather funky.
Look at that shopping trolley. I love that one.
Just show that from the other side. Post box. with
I think that's more of a bin mat.
trolley.
Have you been using those as post boxes your whole life?
I wonder where all and people wonder why they never get paid. So and of course it wouldn't be the 60s if there wasn't a picket fence. Yeah. Fabulous stuff.
Bane of our lives, those.
Final detail in the box, other than other little bits and pieces of rubble and terrain. How many buildings? There's obviously enough in it to do enough density for this this section. Roughly, how many terrain elements are in the box?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, yes,
a lot. We will say.
Infinite combinations. There we go.
The thing about it is, you really could put it together in so many different ways.
I like the way that it's entirely modular as well. We've absolutely nailed the connector system these days at Mantic. So these things go together with no glue. They come apart with no glue. You don't break the pieces.
So let me just say, like, here I have a wall piece and another shorter wall piece.
So you've got a corner connector and a side connector. You won't get those together.
I need to take this connector out. So let me just remove that.
Woo!
And then that clips in there.
Oh, one more down, one more down.
One more down.
There you go.
There we go. Bang. There it is. Ready.
Wave it around, doesn't fall apart. I like that.
Oh, there we go.
But we're doing two sets of these eventually. We've got, this is the ruin set, which is all sort of like rubbly buildings, so you don't need that much to cover a table in rubble. But there's also an intact set as well.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's cool. And how far off are we from seeing that coming out?
Pass. But we've been playing with it in the studio at the moment, and it's fantastic fun because you can either build complete buildings or you can build partially demolished buildings and multi-story buildings and floors. It's great stuff.
Fantastic. Well, it can't be that far away. And then finally, just in case you were wondering, of course, there is a bucket load of dice in there as well. So D8s.
Same mechanic as Dead Zone.
So guys, there you have it. That is what a box of Mars Attacks looks like. The quality of the materials, well, obviously we're well familiar with the quality of the actual terrain stuff. It's made from hard plastic. It's great stuff. The Battlezone stuff is brilliant. The actual miniatures themselves they come pre-assembled. They're from a kind of like a PVC type plastic. It's holding the details really, really well. So if you do decide that you want to paint these, your paints will pick up some details really nicely on this. And certainly they look as good as the prototype sculpts that I saw in resin. So even the very tiny, tiny lines on the brain structure of the Martians, it's all come through. So there will be no issues with painting that. You'll have to obviously give them a little bit of a clean up because there will be mold lines, but there'll be mold lines regardless of what material you're likely to use because of the way the production process is. But absolutely, I cannot wait to give this game a go. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Curious, thank you for taking me through it. Stay tuned, guys, because shortly we'll be showing you how it's played.